Well, let's return now to our top story this lunchtime, and that petition that's calling on Donald Trump's state visit to the UK to be downgraded. Downing Street have said this morning the visit will go ahead despite more than 1 million people joining the online protest. It comes just hours before nationwide protests are due to be held in the UK against the 90-day travel ban imposed by President Trump on people from 7 mainly Muslim countries. Well, Rehman Chishti is a Conservative MP who thinks that President Trump should be allowed to come to the UK, but not necessarily be given the full state visit treatment. Mr. Chishti joins me now from central London, and a very good afternoon to you. I mean, this protest is gathering signatures by the minute. Is there a tipping point where you think actually a state visit should be banned altogether?
Well, look, what I would say in terms of the action taken by the President of the United States is completely unacceptable, it's discriminatory, and also it's contrary to our British values of tolerance, respect, equality, and respect for religious freedom. So in my view, as a head of the United States, of course he should come to the United Kingdom, but what we should do is make it very clear, symbolically, like he's done by carrying out his executive order, symbolically make it very clear when he meets the Prime Minister at number 10, when they do questions to the media, the Prime Minister to make it very clear, like she did when she was in Washington in relation to our separate policy on Russia to the United States, to say his position in relation to the executive order banning people from Muslim countries coming into the United Kingdom, to the United States, is contrary to our British values and is unacceptable. So I would say yes, allow him in, but the nature and the tone of the state visit should reflect the signing of the executive order and be different to what it would have been otherwise.
Well, be that as it may, Theresa May is very unlikely to do that, given that it took, several prompts at a press conference and a late-night dispatch from Downing Street on Saturday to admit that she was distancing herself from Donald Trump's policy on all of this. And she's keen to establish this special relationship, isn't she, given that we are economically vulnerable in the face of Brexit? She needs to give Donald Trump all the bells and whistles that she possibly can.
Well, let me make it very clear. I've had an excellent relationship and continue to do so with the American Embassy in London, having hosted their former ambassador at large for religious freedom. But when you have a constructive friendship, when you have a special friendship, when you have a special relationship, then you have to say to the special friends that their acts and behavior is unacceptable, and in this case is likely to feed into the hands of terrorists and extremists, because they want to create a perception of war between Islam and civilization, and by carrying out such executive order, it feeds in to the propaganda of this evil death cult Daesh. And I know my Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom stands firmly for British values. So when you have somebody coming to the United Kingdom, who is openly and clearly stating a policy which is discriminatory and some would say racist, and the former ambassador of the United States to London says is contrary to the United States Constitution, then I think we have a moral obligation to make very clear that his remarks, his actions are wrong, unacceptable, but also make the world a dangerous place.
Even if you're dealing with a leader that many describe Donald Trump as somebody who doesn't take personal criticism well, what if Theresa May is privately saying all of these things but doesn't want to do it publicly at a press conference, as you suggest, during a highly public and globally interested state visit? I mean, surely that's the wrong time to be doing it. Much more your leader's style would be to be quietly doing it in the background, wouldn't it?
Well, look, I know from the conversations that I've seen have taken place at various different levels, those discussions and those messages were previously conveyed when he made the remark when he was running for the office of president. But you know what? They had no effect at all. He went on and actually carried out the executive order. So what do when you have somebody who takes a certain position which is discriminatory, which is inhumane, which is contrary to British values? Do you say nothing, or do you stand up and go with your values and your morals and what stands for the United Kingdom? Democracy, freedom and liberty, and irrespective of him being the President of the United States. Look, I accept he is the elected President of the United States. We respect that, we respect the will of the American people, but if he makes certain remarks which put the world in a more dangerous place and also divides the world and tries to divide our society, then we have a moral obligation at every level to say to him he is wrong, and therefore he should change his discriminatory behaviour.
But as you say, he does have a mandate. He didn't make a secret of these views during the campaign. He's only doing what he was elected to do. And we have a history in this country, don't we, of welcoming heads of state, whatever their politics may be. And in the past, we've had many heads of state step foot on British territory who've got controversial records on human rights. We could list, countries like China. We've rolled out the red carpet for them. So is there a bit of hysteria when it comes to Donald Trump?
Well, look, I was the one who previously, when there was a debate when people said he should not be coming to the United Kingdom, when he first made these remarks about a year ago, I said, look, he should be allowed to come to the United Kingdom because he was running for the office of the President of the United States. Otherwise, there's no difference between what he does by banning people and us as a society which believes in freedom. But the reality is, when somebody comes to your country, and here in the United Kingdom are British values of equality, respect and tolerance, and they actually in our country stand up and say they are proud of what they are doing, then I would say we have a responsibility to say to that person they are wrong. But equally, the first duty of the state, wherever you are around the world, is to protect your citizens. And his actions, are likely to feed into the hands of Daesh and Al-Qaeda, as has been said in the United States by Senator McCain and others. And I say on that basis, first duty to protect the citizens of our country. His actions are likely to feed into the acts of extremism, and we should stand up to our values and principles.
Okay, Rehman Chishti, really good to talk to you. Thanks.